Hello YouTube, my name is Paul, I hope you're keeping well. Welcome back to a collection video. I've been threatening to do my PlayStation collection for quite some time. So here we are. So the collection itself is quite small, it only consists of about 35 or so games. It's not a collection I've really taken seriously since I've been recollecting. Now 95 was a weird time because I had an Amiga. Obviously the Commodore situation was dire. I think Commodore went bust before that anyway. PCs were well out of my reach, about 1,500 quid to £2,000 for a decent P90 or P100 system. My friend had one and he used to show off, quite rightly so, compared to games I had on the Amiga. 3DO didn't appeal to me. It's quite an expensive system, but I wasn't really interested in full motion video games. I didn't really like the idea of having a 3D environment but you play with sprites. Kind of the scaling didn't quite look right. So that passed me by. Machines like the Philips CDI and that had no interest in whatsoever. So luckily the PlayStation was just around the corner. Didn't go for the Saturn, don't know why. I think the games that were coming out at launch for me weren't quite enough. And I remember seeing a Saturn in Virgin Megastore in Croydon. I wasn't impressed with Virtua Fighter. It looked bloody dated. I mean, the Amiga could have done something like that on that system. Daytona USA looked the part though. It did look really, really good. But it was, basically it was for this particular magazine. This was the reason I kind of held off for the PlayStation. Games like Destruction Derby, which was an exclusive because obviously Sony bought Psygnosis sometime in the early 90s and commissioned them to make quite a few games, Destruction Derby being one, Wipeout being another one. So there's some absolutely fantastic games en route. So this magazine pretty much got me through 2 or 3 months of hype because I was really looking forward to this console. It's the last console I ever really looked forward to getting, and it's the only console I ever bought at launch, with the exception being the Sony Pro 500 Million Edition. It's the only other one I ever got. But when I started seeing games like Discworld, and I mean I used to love my point and click adventures, that looked absolutely fantastic. There were games like Broken Sword, Rayman looked absolutely fantastic as well, especially as a 2D platformer. Now Ridge Racer, one of the games I did buy on launch. So yeah, this magazine kind of got me through really, and stopped me buying the Saturn. But when I eventually got my PlayStation on launch day, I think it was sometime September 29th it might have been, 95. I didn't get home from work, I went straight from work to Croydon to Dixon's to get my PlayStation. I picked up the PlayStation, Ridge Racer, Wipeout and Battle Arena to Shinden. I think they come to about £450, I think something like that. It's the first item I ever got on the Never Never, because back then I couldn't flip in save for toffee. So I got my PlayStation home, unboxed it, put it on, and I think I played Ridge Racer all bloody night. I was absolutely amazed, and racing games aren't my thing, but Ridge Racer was absolutely incredible, and I think I just played it for so long. I actually played all the routes going the other way with all the different cars, setting me records and that, and I couldn't get enough of it. And Wipeout was an amazing sort of roller coaster kind of a game, wasn't it? It was absolutely fantastic. Actually was quite decent at it because it was quite a difficult game to control. And of course to Shinden, which again I'm not really into one-on-one fighters, but that was quite good. It looked brilliant and played really well, bearing in mind what I was used to on the Commodore Amiga. So yeah, unfortunately a couple of years later my PlayStation broke. The lasers on the original launch models were an issue, and when you put a disc in, the full motion video would be quite corrupt. So yeah, I think I gave it away in the end, and I re-got a PlayStation back in 1999 off my brother. I had a PC at the time, so I did fancy getting another console, so he gave me that for a good deal and a few games, and that's the one I've still got to this very day. So yeah, a system that is dear to my heart because it was the last one I ever got really excited about. So that's it, let's go and have a look around the system as per usual, and then we'll take a look at the games. See you in a bit. Well, here is a familiar sight, the PlayStation console, or later to be known as the PlayStation 1 console. This is the second iteration, the only difference really being are the ports. Well, cosmetically are the ports at the back of the consoles. I'm pretty sure my original console, you plugged a composite cable in the back, which then sort of converted into an RF cable. But yeah, it is slightly different. The console itself is nice and small in comparison to, say, the Saturn. Pretty pretty sleek lines on there really. So the front of the console, you've got a couple of sockets there for your memory cards. The one on the right hand side is one I had when I bought my original copy of Resident Evil 3, so luckily I still have that. It's one of the only remaining items I had from back in the day. Left hand memory card is an official one. Underneath there you've got space for 2 controllers. Obviously at the top there you've got your eject button, you've got your on off switch and your reset switch. It's obviously a top loader. Turn it on and off. There we go. The controller, again, slightly different from the original one, because the original one didn't have the old analog sticks. I'm pretty sure it's thinner. I'm pretty sure it wasn't as chunky as this particular controller. I remember the controller really well because I loved it. I thought it was an absolutely fantastic design, and I absolutely thought it was brilliant. Repackaged, because the original one I bought was in a black and yellow box. This one obviously in a kind of grey bluey box. And some of the games at the time, some of the best sellers on the PlayStation. Gran Turismo used to have. Tekken 3 never played. World Cup 98 was a cracking game. I played none of the Crash Bandicoot series before. Buster Groove, Metal Gear, Final Fantasy. There's loads of them. Bloody loads of them. But yeah, not really much to describe really. Ah, the demo disc. Nearly forgot that one. I remember seeing that. The dinosaur and the stingray. And being amazed at how good they looked. It was great as well because you can see the animation and actually go around, like pan around and see in glorious detail the actual graphics. So yeah, brilliant. That's the PlayStation. Just going to check the games out.
Hello, citizens of Europe. As spokesperson for SAPS, the Society Against PlayStation, I'd like to talk to you about a menace threatening humanity. It's happening right here, in our very homes, and corrupting the lives of our loved ones. Yes, friends, I'm talking about this. It may look like a harmless bagel toaster, but inside is a deadly donut. How do you know PlayStation is not a normal game system? It carries these telltale signs. Scientists say its effects are mind-boggling. Users lose all sense of reality and enter another world. Here we have a normal, healthy young man. And here we have a fellow who's been experimenting with PlayStation for only a few minutes. Proof that we saps must be on our guard. Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.
Right, over to the games then. So the first one I got to show you is a game I used to have on the PC. One of the first games I got when I got a PC at the back end of '97. Now the game itself wasn't particularly well known when it came out on the PC, but by the time it came out on the PlayStation, it was probably the most hyped game for Christmas of '97. And that game is Grand Theft Auto. This is the collector's edition, one I picked up probably about 2 years ago. Might have even been last year, to be honest. And it contains the original 2 games plus the London Mission Pack. But yeah, I always remember seeing this in PC Gamer, and it looked right up my street. Even back then it looked like a bloody retro game in '97. But when I actually played it, it's absolutely incredible. We all know what it's like anyway, but to have all that action, all that mayhem in a game was right up my street. So yeah, to tease the guys in work then who had the PlayStation. Got a bit of revenge. But they were waiting for this game to come out, because by the time it did come out on the PlayStation, it was a very hyped up game. And it caused quite a lot of controversy as well in the press. But yeah, an absolutely fantastic addition to the collection. I never actually played on the PlayStation, to be honest. But I can't really play it anymore on the PC. I don't have a really decent controller to play it on. See, without it doesn't work properly. I can't remember why I don't play it. So the other game I've got is actually a game I've just shown you, which is the GTA London add-on pack. I'm quite willing to send this off to the first person who leaves a comment saying that they want this game. Just let me know where you live and I'll send it on to you. Obviously don't leave that information down below, but we'll get in touch. Yeah, I think it's the first game I remember featuring dog shit. How interesting is that? I don't remember ever seeing a game before that where there's crap on the pavement. Yeah, that was quite interesting. And London was a bit of a shithole back then. Well, I can imagine. I'm not that old to remember 1960 but it was definitely a shithole in the 80s. Next game I've got, I've never played. I suppose the only bonus is it's an ocean game, and that is Heart of Darkness. Got no idea whatsoever this game is actually even about. Game I think I picked up in a bundle. It looks quite good, lovely condition, that's probably why I kept it. Right, next up is a game I picked up from a local game shop. I think I bought it from the local town. And it cost me 10 quid. I was quite happy with that because I think it's quite a collectible little game. That's Overboard. Again, I remember this one being reviewed in magazines. I think the disc is a little bit loose in there. Is it the manual? Don't really want to shake it around too much. But it looks like great fun. Again, I've never given it much time, to be honest. But yeah, it's quite a collectible game on the PlayStation. Looks pretty good. Now, the next one is a game, again, I remember very well. From sort of like 96, I think it might have been. But I never had it. And that is Ridge Racer Revolution. I'm not quite sure how different this is from the original. And to be honest, I've still never played it to this day. Again, quite a relatively cheap game. Doesn't go for a lot of money whatsoever. Right, next I've got probably the last game I ever bought for my PlayStation back in 97 before it packed in. And that's V-Rally. I'm not sure if this was Infogram's first release under, well, because obviously it took over Ocean Software. I think this was the first post-Ocean game released on the PlayStation. Very good rally game. I find it quite tricky, or found it quite tricky, I should say. I can't remember if you played this in 2-player, split screen. I don't remember. I know it looked fantastic and sounded fantastic, but I never was really into rally games, to be honest. Now, the next one is a sequel to one of the Amiga's classics, one of the Amiga classics of all time, and that's Syndicate Wars. Again, a game I bought in 1997. Absolutely love Syndicate. This was very good as well. Very dark from what I remember. Everything was pitch black. Didn't play it a lot. Didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the original game on the Commodore Amiga. Again, from a collecting point of view, these games are relatively cheap. Now, another sequel to an Amiga game. So you can tell I love my Amiga titles. And that was supposed to be the sequel, or spiritual sequel at least, to Flashback. That's Fade to Black. Now this game I could not get on with. I found it really tricky. And I really had a really awkward control mechanic. So yeah, I never really got into this one. But yeah, how weird. But yeah, it's strange to be a sequel to Flashback, but it was nowhere near as good in my opinion. Another game I got, I think I got this one a couple of years after its release. I think I got it when I got the PlayStation back in 1999, and that's Dino Crisis, which is supposed to be like a dinosaur version of Resident Evil. Again, it looks good, but I never got on with it. Didn't really like the whole dinosaur theme, to be honest. Yeah, so a game I didn't buy from new, but I did buy it second hand. Right, now this game is a legendary game. I remember buying this game, obviously based on all the hype, but I had a surround sound system at the time, and I remember hooking this up to the surround sound system, and it scared the living shit out of me. That's Resident Evil. Obviously it's famous for its really dodgy voice acting, so it was terrible, wasn't it? The game mechanics weren't particularly great, but bloody hell was it revolutionary. It was incredible. I remember playing this one to completion. Played the recent re-release of it on the PlayStation 4, which I preferred the original one, to be honest, because there's quite a bit missing from the remake. But yeah, absolutely fantastic game. Quite a desirable set of games to get now, the Resident Evil games. But yeah, very, very good game. Absolutely loved it. But that whole surround sound experience, yeah, it was bloody terrifying. Especially when those flipping dogs jumped out through that little corridor. Jesus Christ, it made me jump. Right, the next game I got quite recently, which is another PC game I owned back in the day, and that's Theme Hospital. Now that was an absolutely fantastic game, highly addictive. If you like any of the theme games, especially Theme Park, this was better. Absolutely brilliant game, full of humour. Yeah, I couldn't get very far in it. I probably got to about level 5. It just goes manic. There's just so much happening. It's unbelievable, and it's really hard to get your head around what's going on. A cracking game. Another Ridge Racer game, Ridge Racer Type 4. I think I remember the intro sequence on it. I might be wrong. Something to do with that bird on the back there. But yeah, Ridge Racer Type 4. Again, never really played it. Apparently one of the better versions of Ridge Racer on the PlayStation 1. In fact, I think it is supposed to be the best version of it. But yeah, never played it. Again, not a very expensive game if you fancy getting yourself a copy of it. Oh, again, another amazing game. Now this game blew my mind when I got it in 1999. Like I said in the previous video, my dream game was actually Grand Theft Auto. If it would have come out sort of 10-15 years before, it'd have been like amazing. So when I finally got around to playing that, that was immense. But this game, a bit of a precursor really, is Driver. And the fact you can drive around a city and have car chases and evading the cops and that sort of stuff was absolutely incredible. And every now and then you get a game that comes out that you just can't put down. A game that you kind of think about all day long, you just want to go and play it. And that's one of those games. There's not many games that have done that to me, but this one definitely did. And I managed to get to the very last level, and the last level is flipping outrageous. The cars drive so fast that when they come off a hill, they're literally about 50 foot in the air. It's hilarious. I remember playing this game on that level and absolutely dying with laughter because it was so funny, but nearly impossible to play. The next game I got is Arcade Party Pack, which I've never really bothered with, to be honest. It's a game I might have picked up in a bundle and kept. Likes of 720 Degrees, Rampage, Smash TV, Super Sprint, Clacks and Tubin. So some very good games on there. I've never really played it. Certainly games I've played on the Amiga, certainly games I enjoyed in the arcade. But yeah, this one's not, again, wasn't that expensive. Ah, this one. This has an impending remake. Very soon indeed. Probably my favourite Resident Evil game. That's Resident Evil 2. Now again, I played this one to completion. I don't remember this one as well as I remember the first one. But you're allowed to go outside the mansion. So yeah, it's brilliant. To actually go around the streets of Raccoon City. Now, this game was phenomenal, and I really do look forward to playing the remake. The first game I remember quite a bit of because I only recently just played the remake of that, but this one looks absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, an absolutely fantastic game. This one can probably go for about at least 20 quid nowadays. I might be wrong as I bought this one quite some time ago. But yeah, brilliant. Probably the best Resident Evil game. Well, definitely on the PlayStation 1 anyway. Another game I've never played, which is part 3. I think it was Wipeout 3. Yeah, never played this one, but this is considered to be the best of all the Wipeouts released on the PlayStation 1. Never played it. I'll pick this one up for about 3 or 4 quid. I got it because I got the 2 games before it. Speaking of the game before it, Wipeout 2097. I think I bought this back in 97, and that had the soundtrack from the Prodigy. Can't get it out of my bloody mouth, that word. Firestarter, yeah, absolutely fantastic. Now, I didn't play this one as much as I played the first one. So the first one had a much bigger impact on me. But I always remember the soundtrack from this one. It was bloody really good. Next up, we got probably one of my favourite games on the PlayStation. Now, this is Track and Field, or International Track and Field. And I used to play this a lot with my brother and my mates. And we had such a technique that my brother could probably get the 100 metres done in just over 5 seconds. But the way we used to play it used to be so funny watching each other. We're literally flipping, busting a blood vessel. Do you know what I mean? Trying to compete with each other. You sort of sat there laughing, fits of laughter. But this was absolutely incredible, and probably for me the most nostalgic game on the PlayStation. Believe it or not, it doesn't look fantastic. It just plays really, really well. Now, when its sequel came out, I think it came out in '99. Not a bad game. It's just flipping hard. It's got events in it which will knacker you right out, especially the cycling. A little better graphically, it's more superior, but yeah, the actual gameplay, it was knackering. Flipping out. I think it was like a 10,000 meter or something, 10-kilometer cycle. I can't remember what it was now, but yeah, it was tiring. Now, another game I got in 1999 was V-Rally 2. And none of these games are my originals. These have all been rebought. My originals are sold off around 2004, I think. But yeah, never really gave this one much time. Graphically, it was more superior than the original one. And had a really good little intro sequence to it with some really good music. But that's all I really remember from V-Rally 2. Now, this game I never had. I remember getting it free with a graphics card. I can't remember if it was the Voodoo 2 or the Banshee. I can't remember which graphics card it was, but the game is G-Police. Now, it always looked fantastic. I always liked the games set in massive cityscapes. But it's a bit of a git to control. But yeah, I never actually got into it. But I always remember looking in the magazines. Got a habit of doing that in a minute. I remember seeing it in the official PlayStation magazine. And it looked fantastic. But yeah, I've never really given it that much time. Now, After Track and Field, I've got to say this is probably one of the other games that is highly nostalgic. It's got 3 games on 1 disc. The Die Hard trilogy. Now this game was phenomenal. Now the precursor, before Driver, the only time I ever drove around a cityscape at some speed was in this. And the first game I never really got on with which was one in the tower, which was kind of an isometric game. Didn't really like it too much, to be honest. The second one, I'm not sure the second one's in the airport. The second one's in the airport, which I thought was amazing. That one I played till I beat it. That was brilliant. Had some really good music as well. But the driving one was absolutely incredible. I think it's the one you have to chase or get to the bomb before they detonate. So it's like a time-based game. So yeah, it was frantic as hell. But again, I think I beat the second and third ones, but I never really played the first one. But this is probably one of the most nostalgic games on the PlayStation for me. Another one that I haven't got at the moment is Alien Breed Trilogy, which was another cracking game. Another legendary game is Formula 1. Good old Murray Walker. Now this was immense. The first time I ever played this. Another Psygnosis game. But I was absolutely blown away by this. I used to absolutely love Microprose Grand Prix on the Amiga, but this was amazing. Really good. I spent many hours playing that one as well. Let's grab the next 2. This one again I really enjoyed, and that is Porsche Challenge. Didn't get great reviews, but I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a good game. Again, I think I borrowed this off a friend. It wasn't a game I went out in the shop and bought. Most of these games are cheap as chips, to be honest. There's nothing here that's overly expensive. Dino Crisis 2, never played it. I think I picked this up again as part of a bundle. Nothing special. Right, now to the double massive case games. Destruction Derby 2, again a game I really wanted to get. I just didn't get around to getting it. I think by this time my PlayStation had died. But it's a massive expansion on the first one, and the tracks are a lot bigger. But I've never really sat down and played it for more than sort of 10 minutes. Next up is the game I couldn't keep my eyes off in that Sony Pro magazine. And to be honest with you, I was quite disappointed with it. So the guys who developed this also developed games like Shadow of the Beast. So the game was done by Reflections. They also done Driver. The Driver was fantastic. This, unfortunately, it didn't kind of keep my interest for very long. I played it for a bit. I like the music and that, but the game itself was quite lackluster, which was a shame really, because it's one of those very early launch titles on the PlayStation. The next one I never played either. Picked it up based on the fact that it is part of a pinball what do you call it? I think it's like the sequel to Pinball. No, it isn't the sequel, is it? It's the same as Pinball Illusions on the Amiga, but it's just on the Saturn and the PlayStation. It was called True Pinball, and it had an extra table. So yeah, again, never played it. I think I got it on the Sega Saturn as well. And the next game, again, I bought this one because I had the not necessarily the prequel on the Amiga, but it was a game which was very similar on the Amiga called Dune 2. That's Command and Conquer. Now this was amazing. I played this game non-stop, I think, for like weeks on end. Absolutely brilliant game. If you like Dune 2 on the Amiga, this was obviously a natural heir to the throne, really. Really good game, developed by the same people, Westwood Studios. I would highly recommend that. And it's quite a cheap game. So bearing in mind how cheap it is and how much hours of fun you get out of it, it's well worth buying. Now the next game was the first game I ever played on my PlayStation. Connected up to my mate's PlayStation, or Serial Link, probably an easier way to say it. That's Doom. It used to make me laugh because I used to know exactly where he'd respawn, so I'd be waiting for him. So as soon as he respawned, I shot him again. So it used to be real fun watching him squirm, because he used to get really pissed off. But yeah, the fact he just appeared and he got a double barrel shotgun to the face. But again, one of those kind of games where the environment is 3D and the actual characters are sprites, but it seemed to work with Doom. But yeah, brilliant game. I remember seeing it on the PC, but obviously I didn't have a PC, so I had to wait like 2 years before I could actually play it. Or maybe 3 years before I could play it on the PlayStation. The next one I got, because it's a compilation of old retro games, it's just called Capcom Generations. I think you can get far more of these on the Japanese PlayStation than you can on the PAL one. I don't actually know what's on it, to be honest. I think Ghouls and Ghosts is on it. It doesn't really tell on the back what is on this disc, or the 4 discs. Worth getting though. I think it was about 15 quid for that. It was well worth getting it. Now, I'm ashamed to say I've never really played this game. Never really got into it, and that's Metal Gear Solid. Now, by the time I got around to getting it for the PlayStation, it was quite old and quite dated, and did look, well, it didn't look great. But my friend swore blind by this game because he played it non-stop. He said it was an absolutely fantastic game. It's a shame really, because I kind of missed the boat, and sometimes when you go back to classics like this, they do look old. Now another Amiga game, originated on the Amiga, and that's Worms. Again, one of the last games I bought in 1997, alongside B-Rally and Wipeout 2097, was Worms. I didn't play it a lot, I didn't really get on with it. I should have persevered really, because it's probably a very, very good game. Again, very good multiplayer game. Almost there. Next one is the legendary Ridge Racer. Now that's the first game I ever played on a PlayStation, and I played this game to death. Highly recommended. What a game. Next up is a game which reminded me a lot of a 3D version of Desert Strike, and that's Firestorm Thunderhawk 2. Again, quite a cheap game, but if you like Desert Strike, if you ever fancy playing it in 3D, this was almost what it would have been like. Yeah, very good game. I really enjoyed that game. And last up is a pickup I got literally yesterday. It came from CEX, and that's Lomax. And the reason I got this game is because I saw it in the back, or in the background of one of Tooty's videos, and it looked really familiar to another game on the Amiga. And that game is Flink. And I think Lomax and Flink were developed by exactly the same developer. Hence why it looked the same. But this is a really early PlayStation release. So it came out in '96. Obviously based on the Lemmings series, but yeah, I was really, when I saw that on his TV, I thought, bloody hell, it looks like Flink. I wonder what that's all about. So I looked it up, and yeah, it was developed by the same people. So that was about 60 quid from CEX. I missed out on an auction which went for 65. So that's it for the games. See you in the next part. So just to summarise then, the PlayStation collection is something I want to expand on, but not massively. I want to have about 150, 200 games tops. I know that the actual collection spans way beyond 1,000 games. I've got no interest whatsoever in doing that. There are some games I'm after, some games I've typed out that I used to have back in the day. So I don't have Wipeout, which I used to have, Battle Arena Toshinden, Defcon 5, Alien Breed Trilogy, Tomb Raider, Knockout Kings 1999, FIFA 96, Total NBA 96, Magic Carpet, and Tekken 2. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, Gran Turismo 2, Brunswick Pro Bowling Circuit 2, and Siphon Filter 2. They're the games I used to have that I would like back in the collection. There's some other games I don't have, like Rayman for example, or what's his face, Crash Bandicoot. And there's a few games that made their mark on the PlayStation, helped the PlayStation become the success that it was. So like I said, I don't expect to have that many games. I would like to pick some up as and when, because some of them are quite cheap, to be honest. So that is my sort of aspirations really for the PlayStation collection. I would like to get myself an original boxed PlayStation console, one in the sort of yellow and black box, the one I had on launch day. Trying to find one of those in excellent condition that still works is quite difficult to get, because a lot of them suffer with the old lens. So that's it for the PlayStation collection. The next collection videos to do, which will be a set, because I've got quite a few PlayStation 3 games. I've got between 250 and 300. Collector's editions, steelbooks and standalone titles, including some of the games I bought, well, some of the games, all the games I bought during the console's life. So that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing, and I'll see you again real soon. Take care and bye for now.